You're listening to Edge Radio TV. The views and opinions expressed in this program are that of the hosts or guests, and not the Edge Radio Network or its advertisers or affiliates.
E.R.A.S.E is an organization. It's a movement. We're talking about unity. We're talking about unity. So we're aimed to taking down the system of race by educating, enlightening, informing, and positively debating with those who have counterviews.
Welcome to Edge Radio's E.R.A.S.E Talk About Unity Today. I'm here with my boy Richard Jennings, and we're ready to bring you our show. And today we've got one for you. You know, you got problems, and America definitely has problems right now. So we're going to treat you to some solutions.
Solutions.
And I'll just say, I'll take solutions that start with P for 500. This is like the Jeopardy version, and that's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about some solutions, and it just so happens that we grabbed some that all start with P, and so we're going to talk about those on today's show. So glad you joined us, and before we get into the nitty-gritty of our P solutions, then Richard, let's talk about some stuff.
You know, we're going to get into these P's, but one of the P's is personal responsibility, and we're going to dig into that in a little bit. But I saw something on social media yesterday that I thought, man, it really defines why I wanted to talk about what we're going to talk about today. This young man, okay, because it's a race, but to keep it in perspective, I'm going to identify.
You got to say quote, you know.
Quote, this young black man.
There you go. Put the quotes on it.
In his subdivision, rolls through a stop sign. Mm-hmm. The Caucasian middle-aged white police officer,
quote white,
sees him, pulls him over right in front of his house because he's getting ready to pull in the driveway. Mm-hmm. Pulls him over, gonna write him a ticket. Mama comes outside and sees what's happening. And
this new or is this old? I think I've seen this before.
This popped up in my feed yesterday.
Oh, okay. Maybe
so maybe it's old.
Well, I'll see when you go through.
Okay,
it. Go
okay.
Ahead, keep going.
So pulls him over. He's out of his vehicle, which is where I catch it at. The officer gets out and says, "Sir, do you have?" And she's kind of aggressive anyway. Do you? I need your license, registration. Mama told him to get it out already. So insurance, license, registration. Hands it he hands it to her. She says, "Do you have any warrants out for your arrest? Do you have any warrants out for your arrest?" He goes, "No, I don't have any warrants out for your arrest." Hands her all the identification. She's standing there holding it, and Mama is standing there at the edge of the driveway with the son, and the older brother now comes outside, and they're standing right on the edge of their property. The officer kind of nudges into the property line. "Ma'am, please get off the property. Are we being detained?" "Yes, you're being detained till we find out what's going on in the situation. Do you have any warrants out?" And she now the officer is holding all the identification, holding it in her hand, and no, he doesn't have any warrants. Why don't you go run his driver's license and find out? And at this time, the officer lady has her hand on her weapon. And all of a sudden now Mama's freaking out. She said, I'm recording this. So now you got the body footage, you got the lady's footage, and the officer has the identification, is standing there. They're both screaming and yelling at each other. The young man is completely compliant. He's not aggressive at all. And this officer has her hand on, not revolver's not in her hand, but right on top of her weapon. And the lady says, my son's not going to be the next hashtag, not going to be the next statistic. You go run that right now, and you'll see that there's no warrant. Write him the ticket and go away. And that officer stood there 20 minutes after she called backup. And it was just run it and you'll see. Give him a ticket. And she wouldn't do anything. Stood right there. And then 15 minutes later, here's the commanding officer comes up, who happens to be a 30-plus-year-old Hispanic male, comes up there, calms it down. You talk about personal responsibility. Calms it down just like that. And runs it, finds out nothing wrong. Here's the problem. Mom, who did the right thing by saying, son, stand right here. Son was perfect. Mom, all she needed to do was say, here's the driver's license. Here's the information you need. Go ahead and write him a ticket, but you need to check on him. We're going to stand right here and be silent while you do that. But oh no, she's screaming and yelling. The officer is constantly throwing gas on the fire by just berating the son and the mom. It has her hand on her weapon, and this guy walks in that fast, calms the entire situation down, and they're walking, run it, and he's fine, has a new ticket, and drive off. But
how old was the boy?
He was probably early mid-20s.
So my issue would have been, why is mom there in the first place?
Oh, she's at her driveway.
Yeah. So, but I'm saying this is what it sounds like to me. Right. Number one, mom is overbearing. Mom's got a 20-something-year-old son, and she's still treating him like he's 10 or 11. Right. Why don't you let him become a man and handle his business? That's his business.
He could have handled
He got put. Well, that's what I'm saying. So the mom interfered with, because and it's just not just that you had a bad cop, because even if you did, mom, your son's got to learn to deal with this. This is called life.
Right.
And you don't do your son a favor by taking up for, especially a 20-something-year-old. What, you want him at home? Does he live at home? It's probably because of mom. Mm-hmm. Won't let the boy get out and fail. So there's a lot that we don't know about it. But it just sounds like a situation where if I was there and that was my son and my wife is out there, I'm like, Melanie, get back in, the house.
Get back in the house.
Let them handle their business, because that's the same thing we do with our kids now. We like, hey, that's their business. If they got a problem, they got to learn to deal with it. So
I think when the commanding officer got Officer Sally or whoever she was back to the station, there was probably a conversation like, why in the world? Why didn't you had everything? Why didn't you just run it? And you would have saw that there was nothing, wrote the ticket, and you'd been on your way in 5 minutes. But no, we have to turn this into this social media circus. And mom really could have done a better job. I like the way the young man conducted himself. So he and the commanding officer was the except for,
well, I'd have told, my son would have said, Mom, I got this. Right. My son would have said, Mom, I got this. Right. Mom didn't want to hear it. That mom did not want to hear it. I'm telling you, well, I'm not going to give that big generalization, but I hate to say the feminizing of our boys. Men, mentor you some young boys.
That's
and
right.
Make them men.
Yeah.
All right. Women, women are good. They're part of the family. But I tell you what, men, you got to stand up. Make those boys men. All right.
But before we go, talk about men being men. I got to give props out to my boys, Christian and Nation Jennings. My boy's birthday. We went fishing yesterday.
You should have had some pictures in our brief today.
I know, man. That's why I'm all burned up. I'm all sunburned up. I look like the old man at the sea, right? And
you're pretty
I didn't
red.
catch too many fish, but
your red is matching your shirt.
My red, white, and blue. I got the white and I got the red and the blue. I got the blue right there. So, but man, those boys were busting those trout and those redfish, and I was thinking, my boys have become men. They were just reeling them in and catching them and putting them on the boat while I was sitting there with a backache. Anyway.
So does that mean they would handle the cops and they would not have the Queen of Spring come out?
I have no. Hey, so I have no doubt my boys can handle the cops. But this is so funny. We're in the hill country. We went dove hunting, and we were coming back. I kept telling my oldest son, because he wanted to drive. He kept speeding. I said, "Boy, quit speeding, Dad." This is what he said. "Don't you tell me how to drive anymore." I said, "Yeah, when you get pulled over, I am just gonna lose. I'm gonna laugh. I'm gonna lose it." And we pulled in this little country town, and we're driving down the road. It's a 30. He's going 50. The cop was pulled under this oak tree. Woo! Lit him up. I said,
Got him.
I told you. And I mean, he was writing that ticket for my boy. I go, thank you, officer. Please teach him he needs to obey the speed limit.
That's good.
Yeah, sometimes we can teach our boys. Sometimes circumstances will teach our boys.
Yeah.
Anyway, they're growing
Well,
up.
if you don't learn it from your parents, you'll learn it from society.
Ooh, that
You'll
is
learn it
true.
from the world. They'll
Yeah.
teach you. All right. So hey, that's some good stuff. Hey, and we got some other topics we're going to cover. We're going to take a break. We got some other topics we're going to cover, some current events, and then we're going to get into our P solutions. So stand by, and we'll be right back after this on Talk About Unity.
Five, four, three, two, one, zero, ignition, liftoff.
Don't push me because I'm close to the edge.
I'm trying not to lose my head.
Hey, this is the Talk About Unity show where I bring the talk,
And I bring the unity.
and together we talk about unity.
unity.
Unity is what matters.
Come
And
on.
right now in our country, that's what we've got to do. So we do that here at Talk About Unity on the Edge Radio Network. Be with us every week.
It's going to be awesome. It always is. And I tell you what, the more we seek first to understand, then be understood, we make progress.
And we like to do that. And that's why everybody's on the brink. We love what we do at Edge Radio because everybody's on the edge. We bring them back from the edge and we bring the unity. So we're just glad the Edge Radio Network every Tuesday morning, 10 a.m. Talk About Unity because here at Edge Radio Network, truth still matters. We're back here at E.R.A.S.E. We got P solutions for you today on our program because you got problems, we got solutions, and they all start with P. Problem starts with P, and so do our solutions today. So we're going to talk about that. But before we get to our P solutions today on our show, we want to cover a few more of the current events that are happening. I was just talking to Vince about the Great Divorce.
Ooh.
That, by the way, that was a book written by The Great Divorce. What's the guy? Gosh.
I never heard of a great divorce.
Oh man, it's a great book. You got to read it because it's the guy who does the all the plays. He's the English guy who wrote
Shakespeare?
Christian guy. No, more current in the
Oh,
50s, 60s. C.S. Lewis.
Oh,
Did you know that, or you knew by my hints? Did you know that, or you knew by the hints?
I've heard of it before.
That's it, man. C.S. Lewis. We went to see it acted out. It's Great Divorce. Anyway, but The Great Divorce, that's not the one we're talking about. But that's a very good play in a book. You got to really read that. It's deep. All right, but we're not talking about that Great Divorce. We're talking about the one, Bill and Melinda Gates.
Wow.
See, Vince, man, we're going to have Vince on the show because Vince got some stuff, man. We be over there dropping lines on us. All right. But we're talking about Bill and Melinda Gates. And this is an interesting divorce because some of the things that have been identified is that this divorce has been in the works for years. That they planned it. And they said it's not coincidental that it's happening now when their youngest is 18.
Wow.
Their youngest is 18, so they've been talking about this for some time. And one of the columns said that it was so that they wouldn't coincide with Jeff Bezos' divorce.
What?
So they were considering all these things.
How is this?
Because Bezos' divorce happened, last year.
He's dodging it sounds like Bill is dodging a child support check.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, I doubt that.
No, I
That's
doubt
the
it.
case. I don't think he's worried about child support. But that's one of the interesting things. And when you look at it, then they've got their foundation, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which they said they're still going to partner in that.
Oh, okay.
They're both running that.
Great.
They said they're going to still do that because that's a $50 billion foundation itself. And so they reportedly have $130 billion to decide how they're going to split that up. So that's the issue. What else do you think? Anything else you think going on with that?
Well, there's a lot of stuff they got their hands in right now. I know Bill is all wrapped up in this vaccine stuff, and I don't know. Maybe Melinda wasn't feeling it. I mean, it's kind of hard to get behind the curtain and see what's really drove it to this point. Mm-hmm. I mean, you may have difficulties and challenges when you're younger, but when you get to Bill and Melinda's age, when you get to our age, I mean, really?
Yeah.
Really? We're going to go down the road of
he's 65, she's 56.
Come on.
Yeah.
Why can't? Hey, Bill, Melinda, listen, hook me up. We got some great counseling. We will straighten this.
Well,
out.
Bill, and so you're 65. You get this divorce after you've been married for how long? They've been married? They married at 94. Mm-hmm. So almost 30 years. It'd be 3 more years.
Can't imagine.
So what do you do if you're Bill Gates? You gonna start dating? I mean, you gonna start dating? You think he could find a date? Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
You think he could find a date? I'm sure he'll find a date. But yeah, and I read this one article where it was talking about the divorce, and it's now they're saying they're getting a rash of these. Whereas they're saying now people over 50, they're getting divorced. They call it the silver years or whatever, and they're saying they're getting more in people over 50 than they are under 50. So younger couples, it used to be the younger couples were the people divorcing. They said more and more of these people now, after they reach this older age, are splitting up. I'm going.
Makes zero sense.
I told my wife, I was like, absolutely not. If you leave, I'm going with you.
Yeah, where are you going?
I'm going with you. So ain't gonna even, because it's like at this point in life, and this is what I was talking to our super producer Vince about, and I guess the word would be altruism. People have the good that, like Bill and Melinda Gates. I mean, they've given away a lot of money, and they've done stuff in education. Of course, they've done stuff in the scientific arena around the world, eradicating measles in other continents and things like that. And so at this age, I'm thinking that's all you're trying to do is say, how much more good can we do with the money? Because you can't take it with you.
Right.
I mean, you're 65. At the most, you probably got 30, 40 more years at the most.
Right.
So what are you going to do? And so when we started talking about, Ben said that's not the way it works. And and like he said, a lot of people get other focuses. Right. And I'm like, I don't understand how you get focused, because when you get 70 and 80, you can't focus on much, because somebody's going to have to do something with what you leave behind. So you kind of, because we were talking about how he could do some inner city programs. You could build buildings, hire staff, and that could run perpetually for the rest of the lives of those youngsters. I mean, you could have a great program, and so. You got some more suggestions for that money? You can give it to you.
I think you nailed something that I believe most people want significance in their life as they get older. They want that what they do not only to matter, but to outlive them, to really just keep going. That what they did actually made a difference that will continue to impact future generations. They both have the ability to set things up that will last in perpetuity. I mean, this could just keep on going and doing a lot of good. But man, I just all I know is we don't know the rest of the story as to what's driven this. But I just hope that even with all their money and all their prominence, that they found some solid people around them to help them navigate through this, and really cause them to use their money for some good, because that's a lot of good that could be done with that provision.
All right, well, let's transition to another topic, which might be related to Bill Gates, because we're going to talk about the pandemic. Bill Gates has kind of been involved in that, and everybody's concerned about if he's in on the vaccine and all that. So that's a lot of stuff. But we're not going to talk about that. Right. We're going to talk specifically about what's going on in India. And man, India is getting hit big time. Yesterday he had 329,000 cases. That is huge. I mean, because, there was a time when we were kind of in the United States was up there, but India is really spiking, and it's amazing what's going on. And put up that second graphic, and you can look at what's happened over the events. Show that one with the that shows the graph. Look at this. All right, so this is from April. It starts in April of last year, and you see when they were down at 0, and of course that's when we first got COVID everywhere around the world. And then you look at how it began to ramp up, and they were at their highest, and that was only like 1,500 cases a day, and that was like in September of 2020. Now look at where they are on the far right side. We're talking about May, and they are way above 4,000 cases a day, and they are just up there hard. I saw online, they had a video. They took a football field, and they just set up everybody would come bring their bodies, put wood on top of them, and just cremate them right there on this football field. It was just, and they had a long line of people bringing their bodies, and they dump them out there because all these people are dying. And so that's amazing. It's not a good thing happening, but that's what's going on in India.
Well, I remember the graphics, the videos that were being showed in the Middle East, especially in India when COVID first hit. How harsh the government was and the military was with their citizenry, forcing them. I mean, violently forcing people to quarantine in home. Everybody stays in their house. Well, then there was no such not even a hint of herd immunity, because everybody's isolated. There's no interaction with anybody else. Well, then they get out. Then it's basically back to square one. Somebody gets it. Everybody lets their guard down because the numbers were way down.
Yep.
And they didn't know the first thing about sanitation, washing your hands, wearing a mask. Why? Because they were in their homes, and then all of a sudden, so they go back outside. They other people come into the community, are exposed to it, and then all of a sudden there's this horrible takeoff. Obviously, it doesn't look as though either there was really increased testing or an inadequate medical care, or just an infusion of other people into their community. Maybe travel was brought back in, and people that had it were exposed to it, brought it into the community. I mean, there's obviously some external variables or some changes into the way they were doing things for that kind of a spike. Wow.
And that's in America, we're really on a steady decline. We're still declining, which is really cool. The thing that's most frustrating our current president is that people have stopped taking the vaccine. And it's been amazing to see all the people they put on commercials and everything I saw Spike Lee do one. I've seen so many other people they're saying, hey, try to get this, throw this person out there, tell them they got to get the vaccine, and everybody's trying. I said, I think you got all the people who are going to get it. Everybody else is going,
Well, I've gotten cell phone calls, just like a robocall to my cell phone. I'm like, how do they get my number? And then emails and text messages from where the pharmacies that we use. It's free. Come on in. Come get it. But some of the propaganda that's out there, I don't want to say propaganda, but some of the information and maybe misinformation that's coming out. People are talking about, well, this is what's in the vaccine, and it's going to change your DNA, and Bottom line is, here is the real deal why I think some people don't want to take the vaccine. Number one, it is still not FDA approved. Number two, the pharmaceutical companies that are making these vaccines cannot be held civilly or criminally liable in any of these situations. It's just scary. So I think once a few of those things change, where it's like, hey, they are going to be held accountable if something really bad happens, or if the FDA approves it and takes care of people that might be damaged by this, then I think there may be a greater confidence and cooperation with the average citizen.
But I think you reach a point. I mean, think about it. They probably should look at statistics and see what are the percentage of people who don't take the flu vaccine. I mean, because we might be there where people are like, I don't even take flu vaccine. So it might just be people who are just not into that kind of thing. So I don't think we should go. But the other thing is that, they're looking at bringing in, they're starting trials now on younger kids, for the vaccine. And Pfizer says they got a vaccine now for kids age 12 to 15, and they're supposed to be starting vaccinating those people this week. So you got, like I said, I think, in my view, they're trying too hard.
Right.
There comes a point. We're America. I mean, bottom line is we're America. Only thing you can do, you can make laws for seat belts, but those people got to put them on. I mean, they got to put them on. You can make laws, and if they don't, then they end up dying in a car wreck or something, or something convinces them they need to wear them. You made laws. That's all you can do. You don't want to do that with everything, though. You can't legislate it all.
Right.
Some things should be left up to the people, and I think that's kind of where we are. Don't stress it out, government. Let's roll. Let those who want to get vaccinated. The others, maybe not so much, and let's keep rolling, and we'll deal with it. Okay. All right, so when we come back, we're going to give you all those P solutions as soon as we get back. We'll be back right after this on Talk About Unity.
Hey y'all, I'm Robin B.
And I'm Dr. Kiva.
And we just want to know
How you living?
Join us every Monday
At noon Central Standard Time.
here on Edge Radio TV. Take care.
When people stop talking to each other, society is on the edge. Let's bring them back. Edge Radio, because truth still matters.
All right, we're back. I'm promising the P's, but we left out one issue, so we got to cover this, and that is Bruce. I call Bruce Caitlyn Jenner. Bruce Caitlyn Jenner has been making the rounds on the media circuit. I saw him, her, they, them on
They.
Hannity, and I saw him, her, them, they on Dana Bash on CNN. See, I have a hard time understanding these pronoun things.
I'm just saying Jenner.
Pronouns, but maybe this is a good way to teach our kids proper use of English, pronouns, and what they're supposed to represent. Of course, because we never really thought that would be such a big issue, pronouns.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so Jenner is running for governor. Because they got the big recall. They're recalling their governor.
They did.
And
they crossed the threshold.
he, her, him, they, she believes that Jenner believes that he, her, them, she can get the spot. What do you think?
Stranger things have happened. California is like the Twilight Zone. You know, Jenner.
I got friends in California. Yeah, but it is like the Twilight Zone.
Jennifer is Jenner is well known. Caitlin's well known in California, and has been all their life conservative that I know of. And there is a huge pushback of their current governor, and just that backlash alone, it's a good chance somebody can ride that wave and take over that spot on the other side of the aisle. I don't know. Some of the things that they're pushing for is fighting for women's rights in sports.
Seems strange.
Although there's somebody that not just identifies, but has had all of the reassignment surgeries and stuff, and now is classifying themselves as a woman, is fighting against transgendered people competing as a woman, right? I may have some of that mixed up. The pronouns just wipe me out. But the whole thing is California is in an absolute mess. Crime is rampant. The immigration thing is rampant. The taxes are going crazy. Citizens are leaving. They're fleeing from California and coming to conservative states. I was looking at the numbers the other day. It's unbelievable how many people are moving from California to Texas. And I don't know. I think Jenner stands a pretty good chance to make a run for the governorship.
Well, the thing to me, Jenner, and good thing y'all have the disclaimer played for Edge Radio, because I'm going to say something controversial here. But but Jenner, and I don't know what the surgery was that Bruce Jenner went through to become Caitlyn, but it looks like it was very bad. I mean, he doesn't even look healthy. I mean, got this look of, how old is Caitlyn Bruce? How do you think?
Yeah, I
guess we should Google that and see.
Yeah,
but because I'm thinking 60s.
Yeah, I'm thinking
knocking on 70. Just doesn't look well. And I don't know if that's a result of the surgery or just not aging well. But so
I don't know.
So got to get that. All right. So let's move on. All right. So let's get to some of our solutions here. We had enough with Bruce, Caitlyn. So, all right. So let's begin with this one. All right. We're gonna talk about. We got P words. All right. We got problems. Y'all got problems. America's got problems, but we got solutions here. They all start with P today. We're going to talk about them. I want to begin with this first one. I want to talk about this personal responsibility. And you should show that graphic of Chris Cuomo. I was watching this show, and this really made me think about personal responsibility and how it's so incumbent upon us all to understand how we are, in fact, responsible. A friend sent me a message about why something was happening. Over the weekend, I'm trying to think where it was. Shootings. There were 25 shootings, 7 deaths. I'm trying to remember where that was, because I sent that message to one of my friends, and he was talking about the fact that, it's a result of the trauma that people experienced from slavery. I went, you gotta be, whoa. These guys are in gangs and they do this, and you're saying this is because of 400 years ago. I'm like, all right. At some point, we're going to have to own up. At some point, we're going to have to own up and say, all right, Carlin, your sons went out, and because you didn't discipline them, they went out and did bad things. And I've got to own up and say, that's my responsibility. That's my bad. Right. I've got my son in check. At some point, the household, the family has got to become responsible for what happens. The training that needs to take place, and the mentoring, the tutorship that needs to happen from fathers to son, mothers to daughter, and parents to children. That's got to be their responsibility. If we make everything else somebody else's responsibility, we're going to have problems. And so that's why I wanted to talk about that, because I saw this guy on Chris Cuomo. His name was Anthony Antonio, and he was on Chris Cuomo's show. And here's what happened. So Chris Cuomo, and this is what society is trying to do. They're trying to say, no, don't do personal responsibility. I'm going to explain to you how this works, all right? So Chris Cuomo had this guy on here. Now, Chris Cuomo self-titled this segment of his show, Foxitis. And so we know there's CNN, we know there's Fox, and we know there are polar ends of the media spectrum, and they go at it, okay? So, and that's one of the things about the media these days, besides Edge Radio, where, we pulling people back from the edge and saying, hey, we talk about it from all angles. But on those two networks, then they spend most of their time talking about the other network. Mm-hmm. So they had a segment entitled Foxitis. You could tell it was programmed. They want to talk about Fox. But their guest came on, who was one of the rioters on January 6th, and he titled it Foxitis, and Chris Cuomo wanted this guest to blame Fox for what happened. He didn't vet the guy, evidently.
No, he didn't.
Because he didn't vet the guy, because the guy goes on there, and the guy starts talking about what he did and how he went down there and he shouldn't have, and he was misled by, he heard the president and he respected the president and he believed what the president said. So he went on January 6th to Washington and he was going to do this thing the president wanted. And so Chris Cuomo said, oh, this is it. I got him. Now Chris Cuomo said, so who do you have to blame? Who do you think is responsible here? And the guest said, oh, nobody else. It's me. I take full responsibility. And he just went on about how it's me. Mm-hmm. I did this and I did that. And all you heard was it was me and I did this and I should have known better and I shouldn't have, and now it's my responsibility to play. Chris Cuomo wasn't having that. So Chris Cuomo was trying to push back and saying, yeah, but because the guy said, I listened to media, and Chris Cuomo stopped and said, well, no. You didn't just listen to media, you listened to Fox News. And so Chris Cuomo kept trying to interject, but no, we're trying to beat up Fox in this segment. It's not about the media and what your influence was. And the guy was just saying, well, I listened to media and this, and I was led to do these things. He said, but it was my responsibility. So that's strange, and you don't get that a lot where people are owning up to their responsibility these days. Everybody's got somebody else to blame, What am I gonna do? I got on my brother one time for blaming our parents for something. He said they did this. So I was like, you're a grown man. How you blame your parents?
Lost your mind.
You lost your mind. So that's my spiel. What do you think about personal responsibility?
Man, communities, governments, churches, marriages, families never get better until we own our own stuff. We got to own our stuff. Stop digging a hole. Stop slinging mud. Own your stuff. A friend of mine a long time ago, Jim Reeves in West Covina, California, mega church pastor, he says, what does it profit a man if he gains the whole world but loses his own family? Listen, you can get on TV and radio and do all these amazing things and write these books or write these songs or whatever, but yet your family goes to hell in a handbasket. You don't have anybody to blame but yourself. Amy and I were at the breakfast table one morning, and we were just shell-shocked because some people that we really looked up to that are getting a divorce. The family falling apart, some other friends, their kids hooked on drugs or trying to commit suicide, and just different things. And she says, honey, what are we going to do? Is this going to happen to us? I said, if we do the same things they do, yeah, it probably will. But you know what? This is our marriage. These are our kids. This is our house. And you know what? Let's just pretend like not if an attack is going to come to our marriage, but when an attack is going to come to our marriage. And let's safeguard against that. Hey, here's the deal. Everything on my phone, on my computer, in my wallet, in the trunk of my car, in my file cabinets, in my office. If you ever want to see anything, here's all my passwords. Can I dig in your purse? It's so fun to be driving down the road.
Who want to dig in a woman's purse?
Well,
man,
listen, I don't. But listen, if you reach for it and they protect it, oh no, you can't see this, like that, then automatically there's a suspicion, right? But anytime we're driving on the road, she'll say, hey, let me see your phone. We haven't talked much, and you're driving. I just want to catch up on, what's going on. And she'll look through my text messages. She'll look through my phone calls. Hey, what happened on that call? And it feels so good to be able to live right. And now, hey, you can sleep good at night when you own your stuff. And you know what? She does too. And I love the fact that we can have these kind of conversations with our kids. But I'm telling you what, communities need to own their stuff and stop blaming somebody else. So.
He's saying, thank mom and dad for the whoopings because it makes you own up.
Oh, man.
You take your, Dwayne and I. So just like we do as adults, we used to fight when we were kids. And here's the ultimate in personal responsibility. So Dwayne and I, we're knocking it out. We're teenagers. Probably we didn't fight much when we were teenagers, but up to then, right up to 13, 14, we fought all the time.
Right. Yeah.
So we're in the middle of the house. We're fighting. We're going back and forth. My mom walks right by us. She goes to that back closet, and next thing we hear is the buckle on that belt coming, and we know. So what do we start doing? He started it. He started it.
Yeah.
He hit me first. He did it. Did it matter?
No.
It didn't even matter. We all paid. All paid. Hey. That's the essence of personal responsibility. It don't matter. You might as well own up now because you can point all the things you want.
Like Oprah, and you get a whipping, and you get a whipping, and you everybody. Hey, if you are breathing and in this room, you're getting a whipping. Sometimes we needed that as a kid.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I think those are the lessons that are the things maybe that are preventing our society from saying it's on me. It's me.
Own it.
It's on me, and we find all these other things. So we'll talk about that's one of our P's, personal responsibility. So if you got that issue today, think about it. What is your responsibility? I mean, a lot of bad things are happening, but what is your responsibility in all that?
Yeah.
What are you doing about that? So all right. So that's one of the P's. We got two more to cover, and we'll cover those when we come back after this break on Talk About Unity.
We work our whole lives to support our families. With one accident or illness, it can all be gone in an instant. Now there's a smart, affordable way to protect your family. Go to findhealthbenefits.com and discover low-cost life insurance for as little as $2 per month. Add to that a tax-deferred annuity that can help you protect your assets and grow your money for retirement. Learn more. Go to findhealthbenefits.com. or call 877-235-6094. A critical illness can strike without warning and wipe out your life savings. In fact, it's the #1 reason for bankruptcy. Find Health Benefits offers an affordable solution. Get up to $50,000 if you get cancer, stroke, or a heart attack, giving you the peace of mind to focus on getting better while the plan helps you to pay your bills and medical expenses. Learn more. Go to findhealthbenefits.com or call 877-235-6094. 66% of seniors spend more time shopping for cable TV than Medicare plans. Most say because it's just too confusing. Laws change every year. The wrong plan could cost you thousands and prevent you from seeing the doctors you want. Introducing FindHealthBenefits.com. Save time, save money, see specialists without referrals. Go to FindHealthBenefits.com or call 877-235-6094 for this informative brochure.
Society is on the edge. Let's bring them back. Edge Radio, because truth still matters.
Welcome back. We're talking about the solutions, and today we're talking about the fantastic P's. I'm telling you, one that we want to talk about right now is a word called presence. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you what, if you want to solve a bunch of the world's cultural problems today, learn how to be fully present. Mm-hmm. I mean, every step. What if really every one of our steps were ordered by God? Every one. Like when we walk out the door, the first person we talk to, it's the mailman. Why can't we look at our mailman and just say, hey, thank you. Thank you for taking care of me. Thank you for, or whatever, or go to the gym. I mean, if we would just look at everybody as a human being that has a story, that has victories and tragedies and failures, and maybe they had a real bad morning, maybe they lost a loved one. We don't know, but just be fully present everywhere we go. It's just so important.
So how does that manifest itself? We got that graphic. Put that graphic up, and it talks about practice being present. What is the real thing? Because, for instance, am I present just because I'm there?
Oh,
so it's deeper than that.
It can't be just there.
Just there. So what is the difference between just being there? Because one of these things that came out with the new parenting paradigm, and it went. I don't have a lot of time, but I make sure it's quality time.
Mm-hmm.
And so people think, well, it's just I don't need to have a lot of time. I just got to spend the little time that I have being present. Is that what we mean when we say present, or is it bigger than that?
A good example is when you go to restaurants today and you notice the dynamic of what's happening around that particular dinner table. Not most, because I don't want to put anybody in a box. I've seen many times the whole family, 5-6 people at the table, they're not talking to each other. They're not engaging each other.
They all got their phones.
They all got their phone. They're all got their head crammed in their phone. And just to be able to put the phone down and start a conversation and engage everybody at the table and just be there. I'm living in this world of just being that's how Jesus lived. He was on purpose, but fully present everywhere he went. He saw people. In fact, I want to have a t-shirt made that says, I see you. I want to have one that says, I see you, that you see everybody.
Is it going to be like intensive care unit, ICU?
No. I see as an eyes. That I see you and that you matter. Everybody. I was in the gym the other day. I was in one of these ab chairs, and the cleaning lady walks by. And when the cleaning lady walks by, she is getting it. She is picking up trash off the floors. She's got a little squirt bottle. She's cleaning everything up. And somebody will get off this machine. She cleans it up. She's trying to make sure everybody's safe. All the machines are clean. There's no trash on the floor. And she was just putting in the work. She walks by, and I said, thank you. Thank you for taking care of all this. No habla inglés. She obviously did not speak a lick of English. If she did, it was poquito más. It was not much at all. And I said, oh, okay, gracias. And then I made the symbols of, cleaning up them. She says, nada, right? Or no big deal, or whatever she said. But it was obviously, she lit up because somebody saw her and appreciated her. And helping people rack weights or push back a grocery cart for somebody, or when they're trying to walk across the street with 5 kids in the middle of a busy grocery store parking lot, to be able to just pause and say, go. I care about you. I see you. What a difference we make when we actually see people.
So that's not the same thing as because it sounds like you're saying these random acts of kindness. Be kind. And so the presence part is those acts of kindness come from that sense of being there? Because to me, when I think about presence, it's kind of like you're there. And so, and in your case with the lady, it would have been, hey, let's go sit down and let's have a conversation, or something that
it can lead to
that I'm there. Yeah. Or like you were saying I went to a dinner one time, and when you walked in, you had to put your phone in a basket. Everybody put their phone in a basket because it would not be a distraction from you being able to dialogue and talk to the people that were actually there at the table. Yeah. So that's kind of like the presence, and all those things, I guess, are detractions from being able to be present.
Here's the bait that I refuse to take anymore. I've actually, because I like my life is very scattered. I got a lot of things going on, and so from where I came from in business, I would like to compartmentalize. I would like to put away engineering and processes when I go home, and I just want to be dad. I want to be husband. I just want to be a guy watching a football game. But as a pastor, I work 24/7, and so I actually tried to compartmentalize. When when I set my phone down at home and take off my pastor hat and go put on my gym clothes, I actually said, I just want to take off my pastor hat and I just want to be a guy at the gym. And this man knows me, he knows what I do and who I am. He approached me in the gym with this look on his face. He says, my wife is really suffering right now from, we don't know if it's dementia, we don't know if it's strokes, but I'm terrified. She's about to get tested. And tears are streaming down his face. He says, can you please pray for my wife? A lot of people say, I'll put them on the prayer list. I don't believe in prayer lists because they get thrown away. I said, no, man, come on. Let's pray right now. And at that moment, I said, you know what? I am never going to take my pastor hat off. I am going to really try to be fully present everywhere I go. And now every time I see this guy, she's doing great, or hey, keep it up, or whatever it is. And why can't we just keep on the hat of being fully human? Just be fully human and be fully present and look people in the eye. And maybe stop being so busy and putting things off so you got to run through life and be a little bit of a better planner and make time for a conversation. Make time to go a little bit deeper and find out what people's stories are.
So one of the things we're going to probably do as Richard and I began working, doing some of our E.R.A.S.E stuff, we're going to hold some of those forums so we can do that, really.
Yes.
I mean, it's like make time for people.
Yeah.
And I don't think we do that, because we make everything a schedule. I mean, even our routine is a schedule, and we just do these things as a schedule.
We do.
We don't schedule in humans. Let's just schedule in some humans. Let's schedule in some human interaction.
Yeah. You got to. Pastor, there's another counseling session that just showed up.
Man.
Now what are we dealing with? Really? No. You know what we're dealing with? We're dealing with lives. We're dealing with children. We're dealing with legacy. We're dealing with eternity. Come on, let's make it as big as it really needs to be, because you know what? Every breath we have that we get is a gift. Present. So. And
our final P word today is perspective. And we're going to talk about, go ahead and throw that perspective graphic up there, Vince, our super producer. What do you see here? And I think how you see determines what you see. All right, perspective. How you see determines what you see. And you see, as they're looking there, do you see 4? Whatever they are, planks, bars. Do you see 4? Do you see 3? And I think one of the first things you got to understand, the first point that this graphic makes is they are not looking from the same vantage point.
Right.
Okay? They're not looking from the same vantage point. And so that's what we got to understand. And that's when we talk about empathy. We're talking about trying to see things from an alternative viewpoint. Can you look at it from their viewpoint? Because maybe if you were looking at it from their viewpoint, maybe you would feel the same way. But if you're so I guess, dogmatic about your particular perspective and that it's the only one, then it means you're probably not going to feel like I should go and look from the other side, So that guy's standing there in that graphic, he's looking from one angle. Maybe if he had said, let me go around the other side and look from the way he's looking. And that's kind of what perspective says. It says, hey, maybe if I look at it from that person's viewpoint, maybe I will see it the way that they see it. And so maybe it is simply my perspective. And that's one of the things, that the fact that I understand that it's my perspective, and you'll find people who really know how to dialogue well and talk well with people, they will always caveat their statements with, well, what I see or what I think, what I see, my view is this, because they understand it's only my perspective.
Well, if you look at the graphic, you notice on one side, it looks like 4 logs. On the other side, it looks like 3 logs. But if you look more intently at the graphic, you will see that at the very top rung, if you go to the bottom part of the highest log that's there, and you trace that bottom line all the way to the left side of the screen, you'll see that it is the beginning of the next log. And so it's not just...
Yeah, Richard's been looking at this a bit too long.
Yeah,
he's dissecting this thing.
See, it's not just 4 and 3. If you look at both perspectives together and trace it out, it's actually just 1. It's actually 1. So your perspective plus my perspective equals our perspective. And we can figure some stuff out when we learn to look at it like that.
Rich is an engineer, computer stuff, so he looks at that and he dissected that thing.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting. So that's very, very good. So those are our P's. Those are our P solutions. And I tell you what, so we talked about them at length today. We finished up with perspective, but we went from presence, and then we talked about personal responsibility, and really in all the things that we covered, the news items that we covered, all of those things really come to bear in all those things. And so just as we talked about personal responsibility, we talked about presence, we talked about perspective, they will affect your life. And if you don't understand that those are just simply those can be used as solutions in your life today. If you have the proper perspective, if you can make yourself present, and if you can, at the end of the day, take on personal responsibility for all that takes place in your life. So go ahead and close us out in the show there, Richard.
I think what's so important is that when we take the personal responsibility and be fully present, there are opportunities for, I believe, God to give us divine interruptions in our life. To be headed someplace, but then allow there to be the divine interruptions where God puts somebody in your path that you didn't anticipate. And don't try to look 10 miles ahead. Just stay in that fully present place. It might be one thing you say. It might be the look that you give. It might be something that you do that could potentially change somebody's lives. We get letters all the time. We get phone calls, we get emails and messages from people who says, that one thing you said did this for me. We decided, we're going to try again in our marriage, or I'm just going to go ahead with that treatment because I didn't think it would work, but I just want to give it a chance. What if that one encounter that we have with somebody today really changes the world of someone else because they just dare to keep on going, to keep on trying. So I just want to encourage you guys with that.
And so that's our show for today. We thank you all for joining us, and catch us next week here on E.R.A.S.E Talk About Unity at Edge Radio Network, where the truth still matters. We'll see you next time.